And thank you for those who've got cameras on. I can see your pets. I can see how you live and your families together. Looks really lovely. Some excited, tired grade 9s. Some pretty backgrounds. Miss Foo's in space. Awesome. I think it seems to have settled down now. So I think we're ready to go. So I'm going to officially start now. So welcome to all the girls, the boys, the parents of the grade 9s, the heads of department of the different subjects at DSG and St. Andrews, our grade head, Luella Sullivan, at DSG, Mr. Smith, who's the academic head at college. I see Mr. Crease is there as well. He's having a talk on Thursday to the grade 10s. So welcome to you and to the educational psychologist, Jane Jarvis, who'll be sharing some of her wisdom with us, and your pets and everybody else who's come to join us. So thank you very much. So this information session is really just about making sound subject choices coming up and making that choice by the start of term 3, so that you know that you're sorted, you can finish your grade 9 year with confidence and go into your grade 10 year having made an informed decision about your subjects. So without further ado, I'm just going to let you know that this is recorded so that if you lose connection, you can still connect to it at a later stage and find the slides. We'll post the slides as well onto all the websites. And the websites have been updated literally until a few minutes ago. Mr. Jevons just uploaded a few more things. So we did want that all done before you arrived here, but if you have any questions after this, you please feel free to go and look at the nice new videos that the HODs have posted. We will be opening the chat in when everybody's finished their presentations, and then you can ask any question that you need to a specific HOD or in general, or feel free to get hold of us afterwards, and we'd be very happy to post those answers on our forum page or something. We'll create something that we'll be able to get out to everybody. So I'd like to welcome Jane Jarvis, and while I'm introducing her, I'm also trying to share a screen, which is her presentation. So hopefully you can see that now. Is that nice and clear and big? Brilliant. Okay. So over to Mrs. Jarvis.
Sorry, Petri, just trying to find it just to unmute you. There's lots of people, so just bear with us.
Sure.
Can you see her pitch?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got it. Yeah, sorry about that.
Cool.
Okay, Jane, you good to go?
Am I unmuted?
Yep, there you go. Sorry about that.
Sorry. Good evening, everybody, and I'm sorry, I just had a technology crisis there. My internet dropped away, so I just had to run and get my iPad. So sorry, I missed any of Petra's introduction. But it's lovely to be here. A very strange way to be doing subject choice. It's always so awesome when we gather together and we can see everybody. But at least we have technology where we can still share the information, even if we're not all together. So really, if we have to have a look at it, you know, back in our day, and I keep saying back in our day, and I might have to stop saying that soon because I'm getting older and some parents are getting younger, so things were actually changing. But really back in the day, when we looked at subject choices and that, basically what we were told is we all had to do maths and science. And if we didn't do maths and science, basically no doors were going to open to us. and our future was going to be doom and gloom. And really, I hope we've moved a long way from that when we're looking at subject choices. Also, there are so many subjects that people are possibly able to take, and at DSG and St Andrews College, we obviously, out of the range of subjects that there are, have an offering to the children and to you as parents. This is all that we can offer you, because it's what we can staff. If you go to other schools, they may offer a slightly different range or a slightly different subject choice. So when we start to have a look at it, it's actually, we need to not overcomplicate things. Many of the subjects are already chosen for the children. For example, in option 1, everybody has to take English. Option 2 has become quite nice, because back in the day, basically all you could take was Afrikaans, isiXhosa, and French. That option has expanded over the last few years. And so if you are a South African student, you still only have an option of Afrikaans and isiXhosa. But if you are a foreign student and have immigrant status, you may possibly take French or even Mandarin now as your additional language. And for those kids that are not strong at the languages, what we've also introduced there is CAT, Computer Applied Technology, and Business Studies. But it is really important that people understand that is only for our students that have immigrant status. That means that they started their education in South Africa after grade 6 and would have made an application for that. If you have been in South Africa and have been educated any earlier than grade 7, you have to take a first additional language, and that is either Afrikaans or isiXhosa. In option 3, obviously, we have the choice between maths and maths literacy, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then in option 7, everybody has to take LO. So if we come then to look at our subject choices, really what people have to do is make a choice out of 3, choose 3 other subjects. So that is it. In option 4, 5, and 6 is where they will make their subject choices. And again, they can't just look at the subjects and say, well, I like design and I like drama and I like business studies, because if you want to do drama and design, those both fall in the same option. And so actually that is not a choice that is offered at St Andrews College and DSG. You would have to choose either drama or design. Also, to our South African students who can't take business studies in option 2 under the languages, there isn't a choice between business studies and science. You can't take both of those. You would have to choose one or the other. And so when you are looking at this, actually there is a limited choice which fits into our actual options that we have got on offer. So that's why I say we don't really want to overcomplicate it. And even if you go off and you get tested and the psychologist or whoever does the testing says you should take X, Y, and Z subject, you have to then go and check that those subjects actually fall into our options. So how do we go about deciding what our children should do? So basically, if we're looking at that, when we're looking into the future, many people say, well, there's only 3 doors that we can go through. And I would hate to limit it to that. So they're looking at, we either can go to university and study a BSc, or we can do a BCom, or we can go and study in the humanities. What I want people to understand is that actually within those 3 doors, there are so many different options that you can do, so many different courses that will take you in different directions. But obviously to get into these 3 options, there are certain criteria. So when we go back and we are looking at, so Petra, you can go forward for me, please. So when we start to look at how do we make our subject choices to open options for us if we are going to go and study at university, and I say if because just now I'll say to you that is not the only option and the only place that we have to go and study afterwards. But if university is on the cards and we have a look at that, if you do choose to do the subjects mathematics and science, and then obviously you would choose English and your second language and LO, and that gives you then a choice of another 2 subjects, subject A and subject B. which could be anything that falls within the options available to you, that would open the doors to all the courses at university. You could go and study a BSc, you could go and study a BCom, or you could go and study in the humanities. If, when you're doing your options, you still choose mathematics, but you say, I don't really like science and I'm not so good at science, and you drop the sciences, what happens is that many of the BSc courses will actually start to fall away. So to get into the BSc courses, you definitely need to have phys chem, so physical science. Life science is an option and opens some courses in the BScs, but standalone, it doesn't open all of them. But if you take mathematics, that will keep all the BCom courses open to you, plus all the BA courses. If you decide that mathematics and science are not your areas of strength, and you actually choose to do the option of mathematical literacy, then what happens is you only have at university level the option of all the humanities courses. So let's have a look at that. So as I said to you, back in the day, everybody said you must do maths and science, and it didn't matter what marks we got for it, but if we did maths and science, it was going to open all doors. Sadly, that is not the case anymore. The competition for university is extremely fierce, and there are many people competing for few places at the universities. And so when you start to make your choices of subjects, it is so important when you're sitting down with your parents, when I'm talking to the pupils now, and parents when you're talking to your kids, the questions you need to ask is, what subjects do you enjoy? What subjects are you good at? What subjects keep your bum on the chair and keep you focused and working? Because those are the subjects that you are going to do well at. And sadly, the reality has become is that our marks have become important, not for passing matric, but actually for entrance into university. And what do I mean by that? So when we start to look at university and when you start to see matric results come out at the end of the year, you will see people quoting and saying, we had so many people pass matric BD, or we had a full house of BD passes. What does that actually mean? So a BD pass is that you passed matric with a bachelor degree entrance. And so that sounds all very grand and all of that, but just because you pass matric BD does not mean you will necessarily qualify to go to university. So that is a school criteria, and actually to pass matric BD is relatively easy for the majority of our students. So what we are looking at is to pass matric BD, you have to pass 4 subjects with 50% or more. 2 subjects can actually be in the 30%. So if you get a subject below 30%, that means you haven't passed that subject. But if you want to pass BD, you have to pass 4 subjects with a percentage above 50%. When you are looking at the 4 subjects, they have to be on the designated list. And that is also, we've had great improvements in that area, because at St. Andrews College and DSG, the only subject that is not on the designated subject list is life orientation. But life orientation also doesn't count when you're adding up your points for university. So you've got to pass life orientation, but it's not part of the criteria for passing matric BD, and it also doesn't count towards the points as you're adding up your points to get into university. So what am I talking about now? Points to get into university. This is where it becomes important that you make the right subject choices, that you choose subjects that you are good at and that you know that you can do well at. So even if you have passed matric BD, you will have to then go and look at the universities and the point systems that they have got for all these courses. So for the BScs, for the BComs, and for the BA courses. And the real difficulty is that actually the point systems are not standardized across the universities. Each university has their own way of calculating it. And so when you are going to go and look at, I want to go and do a BCom, at Stellenbosch University, you will have to go and Google BCom at Stellenbosch University and look at their criteria in terms of what you need for points. If you then want to go and consider another university, you would have to go and Google BCom at UCT or BCom at Rhodes University, and you'll see that different people calculate the points differently. But the bottom line is, if you are looking at getting into something like a BSc or into a BCom, and you are doing maths and science, why I'm saying to you that you have to understand that you really have to have an affinity for these subjects is, if you got 45% or 50% for maths or science, and you try to calculate your points, you will find that your points end up being that will not add up in terms of being able to get onto into that course. And the same for trying to do a BCom. When you're looking at BComs, most of the universities are looking at 60% plus for maths. And if you want to get into the BComs, the sciences sides of it, you're looking at a 70% kind of mark for mathematics to be able to get into that. However, if you are looking at doing courses in the humanities side, it doesn't matter whether you have maths or maths literacy. These subjects don't, the universities don't weight them. So basically what happens is universities don't weight the subjects necessarily unless they are a specific criteria to get into that option. So to get into a BSc, you have to have maths, you have to have science, and your marks need to be good. To get into a BCom, you have to have mathematics, and your marks need to be relatively good. To get into a BA course, it doesn't matter. You just need to be able to get the points to be able to get into that, the course that you have chosen. And whether you have done mathematical literacy or you have done maths, those two subjects will count equal number of points. They don't weight maths above maths literacy to get into any of the humanities courses. So really that is the reality of today. We need to have a look at what are you good at, what do you enjoy, and what do you think that you will excel at school to open doors to the next step in your future. But please, I don't want us to think that university is the only door that is going to open up into our future. We have got many kids that have gone through university that are sitting with undergrad degrees and are struggling to get jobs. Many people are now having to go on and do honors and masters, and even then the competition is difficult. So we can't just actually believe that if we get a degree, we will definitely get a job. So you've got to go for the degree because it is something that you really want to do, and those are the doors that you want to open. But also keep your mind open to that there are a variety of other places where you can go and study, where there are well-recognized courses that you will do. So lots of these, and you'll see up on the screen, we've got AFTA. So anybody who's good in the creative side of things with drama, offering many interesting courses, but AFTA even offering some of the business degrees now as well, because they're understanding that even if you want to be part of the creative arts, it's important to also understand business. You can go to graduate school. So you've got the IMM Graduate School of Marketing, you've got business schools, and we've even got people that go to those who have done maths literacy and get into these schools like the Graduate School of Marketing. I even know of a case of a boy who did his first year at IMM and he did really well, and then he transferred across to university into a BCom. You've got the Vegas, you've got Stellenbosch Academy, all of these different design academies and all of that, offering incredibly practical courses that open doors to amazing futures. So please keep your minds open. Please have a look at what is out there. There is so much that you can do with your futures. Don't limit it to only looking at universities and thinking that there are only 3 doors that are open to you. I hope that has made a little bit of sense, and it makes it a little bit easier with your subject choices.
Thank you very much, Jane Jarvis, for that information, which is always very useful to have. I'm going to share the next screen. All right, and I see somebody tried to annotate there, but then got nailed by me, I'm afraid. Disable participants annotating. So I'm on to you, whoever you are. All right, so in terms of the subject choices, yeah, I see a couple of you smiling. I know who it is. All right, we just want to give you a little bit of oversight here in terms of subject choices for next year and the groupings thereof. So when you look at the subject choice list, you go, oh, there's so many options. What do I choose? What do I choose? And I don't know if Homer Simpson's still a cool dude in amongst the rest of you, but certainly in my day, and I still love The Simpsons. So I just had to put that in. In the subject choice booklet, you've got this very dry, boring looking list of subjects, and I'm going to try and make that a little bit more exciting for you. So as we mentioned in option 1, you don't have a choice really. You have to do English because that is the subject that we do. And I'll ask Ms. Webster, Director of English, to just share with us 1 or 2 things after this about English and what she's got planned for the grade 10s for next year. There's going to be a bit of a pioneer module story that she'd love to share with you. In option 2, for all South African pupils, as Ms. Jarvis said, is Afrikaans or isiXhosa will be your languages. You can choose from home language or first additional language Afrikaans, depending on the strength of that. So a leader, someone like you who has mum and dad at home always speaking Afrikaans by a lekker met jou, you might want to consider Afrikaans home language. If not, then maybe first additional language is the way to go. Ms. Marietta Potgieter will be able to give you more information about that. Those with immigrant status have a choice of French second additional language, Mandarin second additional language, computer applications technology or CAT, as well as business studies. So that's been unpacked quite nicely for you. And option 7 is life orientation. These option numbers are our school option numbers. They're not numbered in any fancy way anywhere else in the world. It's just for our schools to know for our timetabling purposes. Option 3, mathematics or mathematical literacy. That's core maths or maths lit to most of you. And then we're going to unpack option 4, 5, and 6 for you. And then you'll be able to see, that's what I want to do. Oh, if I don't do it in this option, I can do it in that option. That's what you want to unpack today. So we've chatted about English, the second languages, and then maths lit and life orientation. These are sort of your core subjects that you're going to be choosing from. Hopefully there won't be too much discrepancy or too many decision-making, angsty things happening here. I think that should be a fairly straightforward decision, either made for you because of immigrant status or because of your love for Afrikaans or your love for isiXhosa or what you've been exposed to. So option 4, 5, and 6, these are the ones that you really want to be looking at in terms of fun subjects to do or subjects that you have to do for university entrance or something that you're just really passionate about, or maybe you don't know what you want to do. And so you want to just keep your options open and do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and so that you cover all sort of spheres of life. So in option 4, you have a choice of design, dramatic arts, geography, information technology, life sciences, music, and under only exceptional circumstances, Mandarin, if there's a good enough cohort to warrant us doing it, Mandarin will be open to you there as well. So those are your option 4 subjects. And you'll notice that geography and life sciences, I've highlighted them in a different color. If you're colorblind, I'm sorry if you're green, blue colorblind. Very few percentage of the population are. And if they are, it's mostly boys. And if you like that fact, do life sciences, for example. Okay, option 5, you've got geography, you've got history, physical sciences, and business studies with a star. Okay, business studies only falls in this option, and only those of immigrant status who might have chosen an option 2, you would have to remove that there. You can't do business studies twice. So why have I highlighted these? you'll see geography occurs in option 5 as well as in option 4. So if you love geography and you want to learn more about the world and what makes it tick and how currents might have affected or transport of people across the world caused coronavirus to, you know, travel so quickly, these are the subjects that you'd be interested in option 4 and 5. If however you are interested in the history of the world and you want to know what actually happened in 1976 on Youth Day, I really want to know these things and what did people feel and what did they do? History is your subject then maybe. If you're interested in physical sciences, that only occurs in option 5. So if you know you want to do science, option 5 is chosen for you. Then you've got 4 and 6 left to play with. Option 6 is accounting. It's only in option 6, and visual art is only in option 6. So if those are your passions, numbers, and Mr. Alcock has loaded a lovely, I've loaded a PDF of his slides there for accounting and encourages you to start quite early there in grade 10 doing it, because then you pull those foundation blocks up all the way through until matric. And visual art, if you're a natural artist and that is something you want to do, then option 6 is the option you want to go for. History, you see, occurs in option 5 and 6, and life sciences is in 4 and 6. So what about design and dramatic arts and information technology, music and Mandarin? Well, design is a highly specialized, highly creative subject that Ms. Drea has posted a wonderful movie explaining things about design and what it is that you do and build, and maybe architecture's on the cards there, or maybe interior design, or ergonomics even ties in with design, designing new chairs, that sort of thing. And the dramatic arts, Ms. Baker has made a wonderful clip for you as well. I've posted it onto the subject choice website for both schools. Dramatic arts really stretches you, develops your confidence. It's important to be able to communicate your feelings in an expressive way, and you learn all those things. Plus you learn about theatre and the history of theatre and interesting things along those lines that I can't do justice. So please do go and look at those videos. Information technology is exactly what it says. It is technology of your computer systems, systems going together in terms of how things work in the modern world. 21st century skills, critical thinking are very important in there. And then for other creative arts, we've got music, and some of you are natural musicians and you maybe want to consider that. So the subjects that are in black, and Mandarin is another language that you can have, like I said, under exceptional circumstances if we have enough uptake. The subjects that are marked in black are only found in that option. So if you're passionate about any of those, you pick those first and sort of pin it down to that option, and then look at the things that are a bit more flexible. All right, so I'm not going to give you a rundown of every single subject, because that is now what the HODs have made lovely videos for you. Please do go and visit those sites. So that's what your choices are. So some of you might say, but I want to do geography and I want geography to be in option 6. Well, I'm sorry, it's not. It's only in option 5 and only in option 4. So please make your subject choices around that. We can't make it be in option 6 just for you. But that said, some of you are exceptionally bright, exceptionally motivated, and sometimes you might say, you know what, I just cannot let go of the subject. I maybe want to do an 8th subject. And we do allow that. So please do talk to myself or Mr. Smith and see what your options are around that. Obviously, it's a time commitment. You would have to do those things after hours. But if you just cannot decide, or you just absolutely have to have a certain subject with you, then we can make a plan for you. But in general, you'll choose your 7 subjects. And you know what? You'll find something, okay? So the websites, I've posted them on here, and I'll make this available as well through the talk with the grade 9 subject choices on the DSG and the St. Andrews academic pages are there with those links to videos, the forms that we will make available at the end of the, towards the end of the term, so that you can make your choices over your August holiday and come back confident about your subject choice. One thing I haven't mentioned, and Mr. Extion's probably hopping up and down, I can't see him on my screen now, so he probably is. He is passionate, and he has really driven this, and I wish that more people would go to the site. It's called the Go Study Portal. The Go Study Portal is the most amazing career guidance that you can possibly get. You can put in your current marks now as you have them and see what is available to you for future career options in terms of study. And then if you're really passionate about a certain field, it will tell you what you need for each of the different institutions. So it is a place you need to go to if you really are passionate about something and driven in one particular direction. That will give you the direction in terms of the institutions, what the offerings are, where you stand currently in terms of how you're performing in each subject, and possibly give you your subject choice if you'd like that as well. He has uploaded a how-to about the Go Study Portal and what it can actually do. The power of it is unlocked in his video, which we've linked just next to the Go Study Portal link on the website. So you'll make your choice, your parents and you will make your choice, grade 9s, for the beginning of term 3 via an electronic form. And then once you've put those choices down, you go, oh my God, I don't know if I did the right thing. Did I make the right decision? And you might get all angsty. And maybe you start the year and you start the subject and you say, oh, I can't do this. I don't like this. That's how you come to my office or Mr. Smith's office. And what we say is, calm down. It's okay to change your mind. We don't want you to flip-flop between subjects all the time. We want you to make a considered choice now. But if things go wrong in the future, we can help you out and put you back onto a path that is more in line with what you're feeling. So it's not the end of the world. It's not set in stone to the point where nothing can ever change. But we do need your parents' consent then, and it's quite a considered decision we'd have to make then. So it's not the end of the world if you get it wrong. Nothing is. But if you do want to change your mind, just chat to us. So I'll leave you with this one last thought. Life has so many great options. You don't always have to pick what seems to be the best. Just pick whatever makes you really happy, and it will be the best. Okay, so don't be coerced into making a choice where you won't be happy. Be happy about your choice. Okay. And that is my little story. Mr. Jevons, I'm wondering if you want to open up the chat while I see if Mr. Smith has anything to say, or maybe if Miss Webster, Director of English, after that. Mr. Smith?
Thank you very much, Dr. Gaines. Thank you, Mrs. Jarvis. I would just like to talk to the boys in connection with a form that has been sent out to them. We do a subject choice report for all the boys, and it's part of the deal. Doesn't cost anything extra, and those reports will come out in the middle of July. But we do need to get feedback from you regarding your a questionnaire that was sent to you on your subject choices. So that is really important that you get that back to Mrs. Taylor or to me or to Mrs. Leon Cochet. And then our psychologist will put together a subject choice report for you, which I'm sure you'll find useful. If I may just make one comment to help you with your decisions, another way of looking at it. You are not making a choice. You're not training at school for a career. What you're doing is you're getting a general education. And besides the maths and physical science, which might influence the directions which you can take, so those sort of might close doors if you don't take them. Try to think of the next 3 years as equipping yourself with certain skills that you will have that you can build on later on in life. You're not going to leave school with a matric trained to become a particular job or in a particular job. So think about, if you're doing a science, think about would a humanities complement my skill set when I go on to be an engineer. An engineer who studied history will have a very different approach to engineering to an engineer who's just studied mathematical courses. So try to broaden your basket and have maybe one humanities together with your sciences, or maybe choose a commerce together with your sciences, or an arts. I think that an accountant who has done drama or art has got a very different angle on life to somebody who's just sort of stuck in the mathematical field. So if you do IT and maths and accounting and science, that's quite one-dimensional. I'm not saying that you have to do that, and some people are just better at numbers and better at languages and words and expressing themselves, and that's fine. But just consider it. And of the three choices you have, it's always nice to have one subject that might be a subject that you'll never have the opportunity to do again in your life. And whether it's just to do music or to do art or something like that, it's not a subject that you're going to have a choice or the possibility of doing later on in your life. And now's the time to do it. So that's my little story. Thanks, Dr. Gaines.
Thanks, Mr. Smith. Wise words there. I'm a scientist, so my words are sometimes lacking, but I did have journalism as my second choice, incidentally. I'm going to just quickly try and field some of the chat questions, and then I know that there was a Galaxy something or another who raised their hand. So if Mr. Jevons can just find that person and get them ready to unmute, I'm going to just try and answer these questions, and I might ask Mr. Kreese to help for this one. We were just wondering if you can give us an intro or understanding of the A-level options and how the choice now may impact on that at a later stage. So I don't know if Mr. Jevons, we can find him. I'll see if I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. So for the A-levels, just first of all, just to say I'll be doing a full presentation on the A-level course on Thursday evening, which everybody is welcome to attend as well. Just as a very short introduction in terms of the subjects we offer on A-levels. In grade 11, we do the AS levels, which is the first half of the A-level course. And everybody on the A-level stream in option 1, they would do a first additional language. So that would be Afrikaans or Zulu or French in option 2. That is optional if you're an immigrant student and don't have to do a second language. We would do maths in option 3, and then only 2 more options after that. So in grade 11, you only do 5 subjects on the A-levels. And also on the A-level stream, physics and chemistry are separate subjects rather than physical science. So in terms of how that impacts on your choices now, it's highly likely if you're interested in A-levels that whatever choices you make now are going to be fine for A-levels. The subjects that we offer as options are biology, history, chemistry, physics, art and design, geography, and possibly drama, which is a new subject depending on whether we have the numbers for that. I think if you are thinking of the A-level stream, the chances are your choices are going to fall in one of those categories anyway, particularly because you only have to take 2 optional subjects instead of 3. I hope that answers the question, Kelly. I will put my email address onto the chat as well. If you have any direct questions, you or anybody else for that matter, to do with the A-levels, please do get hold of me. I'm happy to answer any questions about that related to your subject choices now. And as I say, you're all very welcome to attend the webinar on Thursday evening. And there will be a whole lot of information after that on the school website as well, including the brochure for the A-level stream.
And thanks very much, Mr. Kreese. I'm just going to take this other question. Are there limitations to the number of children per class if changes can be made in 2021? Yes. So once classes are assigned, if classes are too full, then we will say that's one of the limitations, is if there isn't space in a class, we will try and squeeze you in if we can Otherwise, if it's really just at capacity for all the different classes, then we might have to say, look, it's not an option. Let's see what else we can do for you. I've answered the individual question about option 2 for immigrant status. Did it via the chat privately. So just immigrant status for option 2, French, Mandarin, business studies, or CAT. Mr. Jevons is asking which Galaxy phone raised their hand. I wonder if you could just raise your hand again so that we can get to you, sir or ma'am. I'm not sure who it is. And Mr. Villiers has just noted to everyone that music is also offered as an A-level option. We actually do have a grade 11 girl doing music. It's always difficult to remember every single subject. A Galaxy 9 note has left. Are there any other raised hands or chat questions that we can help you with? Just to clarify anything that you're unsure of. Maybe you're shy now and maybe want to get hold of us at a later stage. We'll wait for you. No raised hands that I can see. All right, well then I'm going to ask Miss Webster, are you around? I'm going to see if I can find you. She would like to just share briefly what she has in store for grade 10s for the first time next year regarding modules. Oh, she is there and she is unmuted. Go ahead, Miss Webster. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. English is one of the subjects in which there isn't a choice. So whether you're good at it, whether you like it or not is irrelevant. You have to do it. There's no light option. There's no lit option. It just is. So you're moving into the FET phase. And what we want to do for the grade 10s is something that is new to the school. We want to instill the grounding that is necessary for grade 11 and 12. But at the same time, we want you to learn that English can be a lot of fun. And we want you to love English. And so what we're going to be introducing next year is the elective for English. And each grade 10 teacher creates a module around his or her passion. And they put together a module that has the film study, the play, the novel, reading text, etc. We will then send out towards the end of the term information regarding each module to both the parents and to your parents and to you. And then you can have a discussion about what suits you, what really looks good. And then when you get back in the third term, you get an opportunity to choose your first, second, and third choice. And the letter towards the end of the term will explain a lot more. But what is brilliant about that is that you have buy-in. We don't let you know which teachers are doing what modules because we don't want you to choose teachers. We want you to choose electives. And there are some brilliant things in the pipeline and that are being done, some wonderful modules. And there is some standardization in terms of advertising will be done. But within each of these modules, summary writing skills will be assessed. You will learn how to analyze poetry in depth. And that doesn't matter which poems that you use for that or which text you use, they're just a vehicle for the skills. And so what we want you to do is to walk into your grade 10 knowing that this is a module I want to do. And then have fun with that module at the same time, getting the really, really solid grounding that is necessary for grades 11 and 12. So look out for that letter. It will come out towards the end of the third term. Have a discussion with your folks about the choices that are offered. And then at the beginning of the third term, you will then make your choice of the modules, and there will be a letter to explain everything, etc. So I'm really excited about this, and I hope that you are too.
Thanks very much, Ms. Webster. I see Mr. Smith has alerted me to Daniel Lesuba asking another question. I'm just trying to get to it. And then there's another question from Imelda on the chat. I wonder if let's do that one first, and then Daniel Lesuba, I think I'm just going to unmute you. I think that's what you've probably raised your hand. The first question here is, since there are immigrants who are considered as South African pupils in language choices, any possibility for them to choose their preferred language? If you are a South African pupil who has arrived after grade 6, then you are immigrant status. If you are a South African pupil who is an immigrant but has arrived before that, you only have a choice of the South African languages. I'm not sure if that's what you're alluding to, if I'm reading that correctly. And preferred language, I imagine you're thinking maybe Zulu or something like that. I don't know, maybe some clarity there, Melda. Let me just get Daniel going here. Muting you, Daniel. You should be unmuted.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, my question was regarding the issue of the second language. Because previously we had got forms and there was a kind of confusion as to whether one can opt for another option like computer applications technology instead of, say, Mandarin or French. And so that's what I wanted to be clarified. Thank you.
Okay, so the forms that we sent you now for 2021 were correct. French, Mandarin, Business Studies, or CAP. So those are the subjects in option 2. You can choose from any of those. Are there any other raised hands that I'm missing? I'm trying desperately to look through the screens for anybody else who, if anybody spots one. Why is business studies in the same option as physical sciences? Yes, that is something that we have. There's always a small group of people who would like to do business studies and physical sciences together, and that is just the way it is for now. And what we've done is we've opened up that option 2 for the immigrant status pupils to do business studies there, allowing them to do physical sciences, but it doesn't help our South African students. We're aware of that. But physical sciences and accounting are an option, and that keeps a commerce subject open for you. Irene has her hand up. I'm trying very hard to find Irene. I think I'm getting to you. Irene, I missed her. So there you are. Brilliant. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello. This is Irene. Hello?
Hi, Irene, do you have a question? We can hear you.
Yes, I do. This is in regard to option 2. Does it mean, you just answered Daniel Isoba, does it mean that I do not necessarily have to do French or Mandarin, but opt to do computer applications and business studies rather than the 2 languages?
That is correct, yes. So if languages are your thing, you can do languages there, or you can do business studies or computer applications technology. I'm just trying to get through some of the other questions. Does that, I think that's answered a question. There's another question about the foreigners considered South African due to starting prior to grade 7, planning on doing A levels and not attending a South African university. Is it compulsory for them to do Afrikaans or Xhosa instead of French or another language choice? Yes, it would be compulsory for you in your grade 10 year, and then in your grade 11 year, you can switch to something else for your A levels or AS levels, or not do a language at all. I think as long as you've got Mr. Kreese, I stand corrected, do they have to do a second language in AS and then can drop that subject?
South African students who want to go to university, or anyone who wants to go to university in South Africa, will need to keep a second language. But certainly for immigrants, or frankly for anyone who wants to drop the South African option and look only at overseas, you don't have to. The reason we have the second language on the A-level stream is purely for South African university exemption purposes.
Okay, so you'd have to just do it for 1 year and bear through it if you're on the IAB system, and then you can drop it. What is physical sciences? Is it physics, chemistry, biology? Well, go and look at Dr. Foster's video. She answered that brilliantly for us. So you have natural sciences at the moment, which is chemistry, biology, and physics components. If you are interested in the life sciences, then that would be your biology component that you're interested in. Life, living things, bio means living. And then physical sciences is physics and chemistry together. And you can't split them. If you want to split them, you have to do A-levels, because there you have a choice of splitting them. Link for the A-levels webinar on the Thursday is in the latest second DSG newsletters. Thank you very much, Mr. Crease. That makes sense. Joined in grade 5 and he has to study South African languages instead of French. Correct. If you joined in grade 5 or prior to grade 6, you do need to do a South African language. So I think that covers most of the questions. Are there any other HODs that would like to do a little print for a bit? I can pull up some things for you. I know I didn't do design justice. I know the videos are great, Ms. Dreyer. So we are planning to do accounting. We're making a collective decision as a family or as friends. You should really make this decision for yourself. If you're planning to do accounting and business studies, we can't do A-levels. Well, not with those two subjects. You can do A-levels with other subjects. So you can do something else in grade 10 in the IEB. If you have immigrant status, Afrikaans, can you take CAT and still qualify for university acceptance in South Africa? Yes. Yes, you can. Yes, Imelda, the answer to your question is correct, and Mr. Smith is concurring. Thank you very much. Are there any hands up? Is there anybody, maybe a language or somebody who's passionate about something who would like to just punt something? Mr. Alcock, would you like to sing us a song? You always sing us a song at these HOD, at these subject choice evenings. He starts singing and then says, look, I sing, but I do accounting. So every teacher has their little nuance and their fun thing, and I'm sure Mr. Alcock did some music at school. Or maybe he just took it as a hobby. So don't let any doors close for you. I'm just going to browse through one more time if anybody has their hand up. And I hope it's been informative. I know that we seem very jovial and trying to keep things light. It's a very serious topic. But at the same time, you must realize that the world is quite serious at the moment. We need every little bit of joy we can find.
Money, money, money must be funny. In a rich man's world. There you go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alcock. That's wonderful. Applause all around. Well done. So if anybody else has any questions, please feel free to get hold of us, and really do go visit that Go Study portal. Mr. Exton, you've been very quiet. Would you like to add anything? Or are you happy with making your video and it's ready to go? It's a very interactive place for you to be. And if there's nothing else, I don't want to keep anybody unnecessarily. We did say we'd try and keep it to an hour and short and sharp. And now you can go and have dinner and discuss all the exciting options available to you. And go and speak to your teachers. Get hold of the teachers, get hold of the HODs. They'd love to tell you more and what your options are. Mr. Exton, I found you now. Are you all good?
Thank you, Dr. Gens. I'd just like to add that please, when you go and visit the Go Study portal, do so from the link that is on our intranet, on our Campus Junction page. That takes you to a landing page for St. Andrews and DSG. If you have any questions about the process or along the way, just drop me an email, but it is an incredibly informative place to start from. And I encourage you and your child to spend a lot of time there initially, just so that they can see the impact of their choices later on. But that's all it is from me. It is obviously a very valuable resource to be used, and I think it's been underused in the past. And we're trying to encourage, even beyond our life orientation lessons, that the pupils and parents do so in their own time as well. Thank you, Dr. Gens.
Thanks, Mr. Exton. And Ms. Jarvis, while I've got you on there, do you want to just quickly, there's a question about masks. Are they available to everybody? Will we supply them? I know that we've got masks available at our online, what is that place called? I've forgotten the name. The Clothing Exchange. There we go. The Clothing Exchange does have them. Really, really nice masks. But we do encourage girls, is it 2 masks that they need to arrive with, Ms. Jarvis, before then? So we encourage all shapes and colors here, and we have extra DSG masks available. Is that correct? Yes, she's nodded brilliantly.
That is
so
correct.
Where is
if girls, Dr. Gens, can I just say one thing and not about face masks? So those of you who are looking, yes, so any face masks if you want to, and they are on the DSG campus. But what I wanted to say is that once you have had a look at this and once you've had long discussions, parents and kids together, if you are still struggling and are uncertain about your subject choices, please, at both St. Andrews College and at DSG, you are most welcome to make an appointment with myself or Yvonne Leon Cachet, and we will spend time with you unpacking this and looking at the options with you. So if you're back at school, you are most welcome to come and see me or to go and see Mrs. Leon Cachet. And if you're not coming back, please, you may phone me or you may even have a Zoom session with me and we'll help you through the subject choices.
Thank you very much. Somebody's just asked again for the link. So if you just go to the homepage of dsgschool.com or sacschool.com, and then for the high school, you can click on the link senior and then academic, and then on the left-hand side, you'll see grade 10 to 12 subject choices or grade 9 subject choices. For college, you just click immediately into academic and then grade 9 subject choices. And then if you're still looking for that Go Study link, it is on our home pages of our schools under those academic grade 9 subject choice sections. But if you want to go there directly, you can go gostudy.net. It also links through Campus Junction, incidentally. So Campus Junction needs to become your friend. It's going to be the new place where we hang out online. All your timetables are there, and your assessment calendars. It's really fun stuff going on there, as well as Google Drive and Google Classroom and all the things that you know. So Campus Junction's also your friend. I feel like I'm on a roll tonight. I think I need to go home. It's been a long day. I don't see any other questions. Brilliant. Well, we look forward to seeing you all when you do return. Grade 9 soon, a couple more sleeps. For those of you that are coming back, we're looking forward to it. You'll be safe and carry on being safe with your families now, and make good decisions that make you happy. That's the end of the talk. All right, have a good evening, and thank you very much for your time. And thanks very much for all the HODs for being here, parents, girls, the whole lot, Mr. Smith, Ms. Jarvis, Ms. Webster, Mr. Crease, Mr. Extian, etc. Thank you very much. We're going to shut it down. Bye-bye.